Lord. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and the city in which we live. Guide us this afternoon as we make any decisions. In Christ's name, amen.
Amen.
This is the August 12th, 2025 regular meeting of the Newnan City Council. I would like to announce, of course, that Jenkins is on the phone. Cynthia, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and you don't have any problem hearing us?
A little bit, but I can manage.
I'll pull the microphone closer. Is that better?
Yes, that is better.
Okay. All right. So we have the minutes of the regular meeting of July the 22nd, 2025 before you. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion and second. We adopt the minutes as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Thank you. The next item on the agenda are several boards and commission appointments. The first one, I believe, is I'm not going to follow this sheet because the other one I have is a little different, I think. But the first one is zoning appeals. Cliff Smith, after many, many years, has decided to step away from the Board of Zoning Appeals. So if we'll send him, a letter that says thank you, and we'll do what we normally do there. But I would like to appoint Nathan Metz to take his place. Motion and second, we appoint Nathan Metz to the Board of Zoning Appeals. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Mr. Critco?
I'd like to reappoint Mr. Frank Flournoy, please.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second, we reappoint Frank Flournoy to the Board of Zoning Appeals. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carried. The next is the Christmas. Ms. Jenkins, do you have that?
I do not.
Okay, we'll put that on the next. And the next is Cultural Arts Commission. I'd like to appoint Betty Hickman.
Second.
Motion is second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Motion carried. Thank you. Ms. Jenkins, Cultural Arts.
I'd like to reappoint Makisha Strickland.
Second.
All right. Motion is second. Reappoint Makisha Strickland. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carried. The next, Downtown Development Authority, Mr. Thompson.
I'd like to reappoint Casey Smith.
Second.
Motion and second, we reappoint Casey Smith to the Downtown Development Authority. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you. The next, Mr. Shell.
Yes, I'd like to reappoint Martha Ann Parks to the Downtown Development Authority.
Second.
Motion and second, we reappoint Martha Ann Parks to the Downtown Development Authority. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Thank you. Motion carried. The next, Ms. Jenkins, Ethics Commission.
I don't have that. Please put it on the next agenda.
Okay, so I would assume the following on the second appointment to Ethics Commission. And then I'd like to call on Mr. Shell today. There has been a resignation from the Bicentennial Committee. Mr. Shell.
Yes, Hanson Powell has resigned from the Bicentennial Commission, and I would like to appoint Marcia Goodrum in his replacement.
Second.
Motion and a second, that we appoint Marcia Goodrum to the Bicentennial Committee in the place of retiring or Hanson Powell. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried. Thank you. On to City Manager. Ms. Phillips, have anything today?
I do not, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, and I don't have anything today. Under new business, this is first item G, consideration of ordinance to set the 2025 millage rate. Mr. Phillips.
Yeah, Mayor, Council, pleased to be here today and announce that we're recommending to Council that we take the full rollback rate of 3.082 for the budget year 2025. If you recall, in 2024, we adopted a millage rate of 3.12. Just some information for you to consider. In 2025, the tax digest grew by only 2.11%. The average digest growth over the previous 10-year period had averaged 8.9%. The small growth for 2025 can partially be attributed to not opting out of House Bill 581. In the initial year of 581, all of our homestead properties carried over the 2024 assessed value. So basically, because of that freeze on that homesteaded assessed value, we have seen a smaller digest number as compared to years past. I'm happy to say that at the rollback rate of 3.082, we will be able to meet the 2025 property tax budget of $7.45 million. Just for your information, property taxes are just over 19% of our city's general fund budget. And just to give a shout out to the council members and the mayor sitting around the dais here, this body has taken the full rollback 6 out of the 7 previous years and 11 out of the past 14 years. So I believe the body has been good stewards. So we are recommending adoption of the, as I said when I stood up, of the ordinance setting the millage rate at the full rollback rate of 3.082 mils.
I make a motion that we roll it back.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. We adopt the ordinance to set the 2025 millage rate at 3.082.
3.082.
Are there any questions or discussion? All right, I'll call the question. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose like sign. Motion carried. Thank you so much. The next is consideration of participation in additional national opioid settlements. We've been here before with this and approved. Mr. Craver's got the item, but if there's a motion, I think that's appropriate.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
A motion and a second to approve participation in additional national opioid settlements. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose like sign. Motion carried. Thank you. The next, consideration of parking closures for the 2025 City of Newnan Christmas Parade. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second that we approve the parking closures for 2025 City of Newnan Christmas Parade. Any discussion or questions? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Pose like sign. Motion carried. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the consideration of an ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance, section 1022, action by council. I think we've been here before on this, and this is a revision to correct the first attempt. Is that
Yes, sir,
pretty-
this would make our zoning ordinance consistent with the other ordinance and how the
Right.
process is.
Thank you. Okay, so is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. We approve as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried 6-1. All right, under unfinished business, consideration of adoption of the new bicycle and pedestrian facilities plan update for 2025. Mr. Craver, do you have that today?
Yes, sir. Mayor Brady, members of the council, this group had seen this plan at the March 2025 retreat, and then again in May 2025, the body contemplated adding a few items to it, so we brought it back for consideration. Those items have been added. In case you haven't read through your agenda, we're looking at adding that the city will seek bike-friendly community designation as well as runner-friendly community designation through the respective kind of certifying authorities. And so those have been incorporated into the plan and ready for your consideration.
Any questions of Mr. Craver?
I was looking through here, and one of my questions the previous time, what was the upfront cost and ongoing costs of doing this?
It's staff time, so at this point, it's staff time preparing application materials and such, so. But I can get you if there's an application fee amount, I'd be happy to find that and share it with you, but for now, it's staff time dedicated to trying to compile the information that would eventually, certify our community as run-friendly or bike-friendly.
Okay.
I'd like to just follow up and say, thank you for doing that. And my intent really was to pursue the bike ped plan as written and see where it overlaps these two certifications and then adjust as necessary. But I certainly would like staff to focus on the bike ped plan and then just keep this going side by that as a parallel thing, as opposed to a primary thing.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions, comments? All right, so you're satisfied with the ordinance as a,
I am
okay, good.
happy to make a motion.
Yes, please.
A motion to approve the updated document as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the adoption of new Newnan Bicycle and Pedestrian Facilities Plan Update 2025. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Opposed, like sign. Motion carried, 7-0. The next, Mr. Craver, I believe, you, or Mr. Cole has, the consideration of a resolution for transmittal of the 2025 update to the capital improvements element, which includes a short-term work program on the Three Rivers Commission, Regional Commission, and the Georgia Department of Community Affairs.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Cole, how are you?
Very well. You said it nicely, Mayor. Recommending transmittal of the document to
Thank you.
Three Rivers and DCA.
Is there a motion? Are there any questions of Mr. Cole? Is there
So
a motion?
moved.
Second.
Second.
Motion and a second. We approve the resolution for transmittal of the 2025 update of the capital improvements element. Any discussion, questions? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried 7-0. Thank you, Mr. Cole. The next is a public hearing. This is a consideration of an amendment to the zoning ordinance, section 3-86, temporary structures. These are model home sales and subdivisions. Ms. Smith, how are you?
Fine, thank you, Mayor, Council. This is a council-initiated request for us to look at the zoning ordinance for those developments that are zoned planned development residential, which allow up to 3 different types of housing products. The concern was that our current ordinance may not afford these developments an opportunity to showcase the different types of housing products they would offer. This proposal would allow those that are PDR zoned developments to have up to 3 model homes, each model home representing the individual type of product that development is offering.
Any questions?
Yes, I have a question. You said individual, so they can't have a duplicate, right?
That's correct. Let's say, for example, you have a
That's fine.
single-family
I
detached.
just wanted to make sure, I mean, 3 and then, whatever, people tend to flip them around and paint them a different color and call that,
No, it would be indicative of whatever was approved.
That's
Usually
fine.
these are occurred
That's
through
fine.
rezonings.
Okay.
This is a public hearing on this issue. If there's anyone here that would like to come forward to speak in favor or in opposition of this issue that we're discussing. Anyone? Seeing no one come forward, I'm going to close the public hearing at this time and ask if there is I guess we need to accept the report and recommendation of the Planning Commission. Is that the first motion?
I'll make that motion to
Second.
accept the report.
A motion and a second that we accept the report on the Planning Commission. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried. The next is a consideration to adopt the amendment to the zoning ordinance. Is there a motion?
Motion
make that
to-
motion.
Yeah, motion to accept the amendments as proposed.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. We adopt the amendments to the zoning ordinance as proposed. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Smith. The next item, you're up again. Public hearing, the consideration to the zoning ordinance of adding a new section, residential accessory uses, short-term rentals. This public hearing is actually the one that we moved forward from our last meeting. So I've already opened the public hearing, but we'll remind the public of that. So, Ms. Smith?
Thank you, Mayor, Council. Again, this was initiated by the council during the retreat for us to re-examine short-term rentals. We had previously crafted some language back in 2018. At that time, that was tabled for later discussion. We did come up with some 2018 language. We've amended it by adding it with some 2025 additions. We borrowed from some neighboring jurisdictions that have recently adopted some short-term rental regulations. The Planning Commission did hear this item in June, and they recommended approval of these changes that are being presented to you today, but I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Does anyone have any questions of Mr. Smith?
I do.
Good. Please proceed.
Part of the, I have questions and a concern with this. First off, how many short-term rentals do we have in the city at present time?
Using the internet search between the popular platforms, Airbnb and VRBO, Vrbo, there's anywhere from 25 to 30, best estimates. They fluctuate depending on availability. Some may be rented out at the time you search and aren't offered.
So out of those 25 for the existing, how many complaints does the city receive?
Planning and zoning hasn't received any,
None, zero.
but I don't know of any other agencies that have, or any other departments that have.
And the reason this is on the agenda, because I received a complaint from a citizen who lives on Wesley Street about the Airbnb next door to her being nothing but a continuous, and this is the definition of an Airbnb, a continuous flow of different people in and out of the property. I don't think her complaint was really, what was going on. It was just that, she had small children, and so it was just a continuous flow of strangers coming in and out of the house next door to her. So I asked the staff, and here we are. I don't know how this would change that.
Well, part of my, I guess the word that comes to me is do we need this? And if we do need it, or is it kind of an overreach? Because you really have one person that's said something. So that would be probably my first, check on this. And then secondly, if we do adopt this, there's some language in the compliance aspect of it that I think is kind of disturbing, and how they go about making that complaint. I'm not saying, but if you have
Excuse
one
me, Paul,
person.
I couldn't hear everything you said. If something, the language that something.
Yeah, there's a language, if we do adopt this, based upon what I'm hearing, no complaints from the city and one complaint which is not to be taken lightly at all. But if there was like multiple complaints, that would be, an ongoing would be, cause us to have put some serious thought into passing this. That being said, if we implement this particular ordinance, then there's some language in the compliance aspect that I feel is really problematic when it comes to how a complaint is issued. So maybe I'll voice the compliance issue, and as we move forward, that'd be okay?
Sure.
Yeah.
So anyone, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Reading the two letters that came in, I just, the part that really concerned me, and I had this conversation with staff today, or, with city manager, all complaints, when it comes to the compliance side, are as follows. Using your complaint, Mayor.
Section 6, correct? In the ordinance.
This is Section 6, compliance on page 226. So to initiate a complaint, a complaining party shall first attempt to communicate to the designated contact person or rental agent of the affidavit or of the adjacent owner's notification. That is the first thing you got to do. So I just make it real personal. Say I had a neighbor who had an Airbnb. This language reads that it's up to me to first make initial contact to my neighbor and say, hey, man, I don't like your Airbnb going on here. Can you please rectify that? That's what this states. And the designated contact or agent shall then respond promptly to the complaint, so the neighbor would have to then to respond to the complaint of the time of day and make a reasonable efforts to remedy any situation that is out of the compliance with conditions of the short-term rental uses in which a violation of the city ordinance. Okay. If we adopt this, and I probably feel that we're probably going to move forward with it, I believe that first A needs to be removed, and we move directly to B, to where the person complaining files to the city, not to the neighbor next door. we would just be creating, in today's culture, a whole,
Yeah.
we'd open up a can of worms big time.
I absolutely agree with that. It should be the city.
As I understand, though, it's not directly communicating with that party, it's the homeowner. They will communicate with the designated contact person or rental agent. So whoever's habitating that house at the moment, and that short-term rental,
My point
Could
is,
be.
do you want to go to that person and issue that? It should be not even in the neighbor's purview as to have communication as to the complaint. The complaint, if there is such a complaint, needs to be complained, written, and moved to the city and then validated and then handled by the city, not the neighbor, regardless of how it's worded.
I guess I'm,
It doesn't say it should say you can do that, but you don't have to do that.
Well, I don't even think you can, because I just think we're asking for an issue. May not be an issue, but if we're looking down the road of the possibilities, in the realm of possibilities, will people venting, letting off steam, not liking it, and not have the diplomacy to handle such a issue, that's what I would like to.
I agree with you,
I
Paul.
agree
Just,
with you, if I might have a moment. I think that with all other code violations or, we always have people come to us as the city. I mean, we don't expect people to go to their neighbor and say, your grass is 2 feet tall. So, no, you call the city. If the house is in disrepair, you tell people to come to the city. So I don't think that this should be any different than anything else we do.
That's correct.
I guess I take a slightly different view on it. Is you need to have enough responsibility and enough, I don't know, better term, a chutzpah, to be able to go talk to the neighbor and be like, or whoever the designated person is, and call them up and just be like, hey, your current tenant is whatever, X, Y, or Z, and then you proceed on. And I think that's why that's in there, is to give it a stair step, take care of it at the lowest level possible so that you're not involving the city at first. Because it's kind of like, same thing in HOAs. If a neighbor complains, they go right to the HOA. It kind of becomes very much a big brother type aspect.
Well, I disagree with the big brother point of what I'm trying to avoid is the inevitability of an issue.
yes.
And I guarantee you, there will be an issue down the road that could escalate in today's culture into what we don't want from this. If you just bypass it, as Councilman Jenkins said, or Councilwoman Jenkins, that this needs to be handled the way we handle everything else. Complaint needs to be issued to the proper authorities and handled in that way for documentation of trail, because in reality, most people, if they let it get to the point where they complain to their neighbor, do not have the diplomacy and, quite frankly, don't have the relationship to deal with such an issue. You better be having a serious relationship with your neighbor as to have that type of conversation, I feel. So that's why.
But most of the time, the owners are not even there. They're somewhere else, out of state, who knows where.
And that creates a real conundrum. You've got to go search for the owner. Is there a consensus among the council that we agree with Mr. Guillaume's position?
I think so, but can I have a question for Mr. Smith?
I'm having a hard time hearing that. I didn't hear that.
I'm kind of in agreement, but I do have a question for Mr. Smith. Not to put you on the spot, but you were party to drafting this. What was your thinking on having that in there?
A big component of short-term rental is a lot voluntary self-regulation. I mean, you're basically going, if you adopt this, you're going to first give it a grace period to allow people who are operating these to come and register with the city. So there's two parts to the registration. One is the Planning and Zoning Department will keep some sort of certificate or a trail of those contact information. Secondly, they got to get a business license, an occupational tax certificate. In conjunction with that, there is a home inspection component. So while voluntary self-regulation governs some of this, the thought we had with compliance is we will have contacts of these individuals. We will provide those contacts to the point you made earlier about out of state, out of area, not necessarily local owners, to give that neighbor the opportunity to discuss the issue with that owner first. Having come from a background prior to joining the city, I've worked in a lot of consumer disputes. I feel like the first attempt you make with that person to resolve that dispute is better than getting a third-party entity. If you need to get to a third-party entity, then we can get involved if we determine there is a violation. That was the thinking, because a lot of this is voluntary self-regulation. We don't plan on going out, knocking on doors, say you haven't registered. We will probably contact those who don't when we find them. But the idea is to have something in place to provide, number one, a listing of who these individuals are, how you can get in touch with them, safety concerns, the home inspection, we don't know the conditions that they're being offered in, and then to have some sort of ability to regulate and comply and make them comply with the requirements.
Yeah, I can see that. I think I can see that what you're saying 100%. I think if we could soften it up and maybe not force it to be the first attempt, because you may or may not feel comfortable doing that. Does that make sense?
That's what I was.
You know, and so based on your personality and that personal relationship with the owner, you can kind of just let that sort itself out, but don't require. Would that be okay if we did that?
We can change that.
Okay.
We can just say, I mean, to the point you raised earlier, we can strike that part and just say, complaints are submitted to the city for investigation.
Let me just say that as we discuss this, the reason for that first attempt is that both the homeowner and the designated agent know that if they're Airbnb, they have to be available 24/7. All right, so the idea was this tells the owner and the agent that those people are going to call you if something is going on. All right, and so to encourage them, as Dean said, to call, because the thing they're complaining about may be occurring at 11 o'clock at night, and your designated agent with the city ain't gonna be working 24/7. And so there's nobody for them to call. If they turn around and call the owner agent, it might get resolved before 11:15. So that was the concept behind why this was put in place, as Dean said, to be self-regulated. We think that some of that may be going on today, with self-regulation. We do know that there have been instances before, as the mayor said, people have gotten in fights trying to self-regulate. But at the same time, it may have that if they feel, or maybe Mr. Gill or whoever, but anyway, we understand that point. But I don't think that the ordinance is, doesn't say that if we ask, our designated person asks, did you first try to contact them, and they say no, that the designated agent isn't going to go ahead and do it. That's not what the ordinance is trying to imply, if that makes sense.
Makes sense, but I do have a question. Based on what I think I heard you just say. You are saying, let's just say I have a complaint against with the Airbnb next door to me, and I choose not to deal with it. And I call the city, and they say, well, did you do step number A? And I say, no, I don't feel comfortable about doing that. What would be the city's response at that time?
We would take your complaint.
You would take the complaint and then move on?
Yeah, because one of the requirements would be that this Airbnb operator is going to notify everybody within 250 feet who their designated contact is. So you're going to know who it is, and your neighbor's going to know who it is. So if there is a problem, you're going to have that information. To Mr. Sears' point, if it occurs at midnight, you're going to have that contact information to reach out to that person.
Yeah, I think, aren't we also trying to avoid, yes, there are those that are registered 25 to 30, but as my conversation today was, what about those who aren't, who kind of slide and try to sidestep, do an end run around the city and do it inconspicuously as best they can? What about that person? And how's that person supposed to handle it? And you could say, hey, I'm registering a complaint. as you said earlier, self-governing. I don't want to make a long, drawn-out thing about this language. I think as Jim had said, if we can soften the language, but as long as I know to approve or to vote for this, that a person who's not comfortable in doing any of this, and I think most people personally are that way, that they could step right from A to B and fast-track it. Would that be?
Well, Mr. Gammon, might I suggest that in that number, that bullet point, you say the complaining party is encouraged to first attempt to communicate with the designated party?
I think
I don't wanna
the,
encourage them to do it.
can I offer a word here that I think you're looking for is it gives them the option to do that.
That's what I was.
If they select to not use that option, they can go to step 2, and there'll be no question from the city.
Well, then that should be in part of the language included.
That's what I'm suggesting. The word option is in there.
So then we could just change that first A, all complaints should proceed as follows, not shall. Just change it as should.
Has the option to proceed.
I have a question.
Shall.
Y'all talking about Airbnb notifying people. What if nobody has an agent? I mean, they just use it on their cell phone, they rent it up, on Facebook.
It'll be either the owner or a designated contact.
So when it doesn't matter whether it was through one of those legitimate things, they have to notify everybody within 250 feet if they're gonna rent out short-term rental. Okay?
Correct.
That's in the earlier part, yeah.
So we're gonna see that language come back to us?
If you would like, yes. Or if you're satisfied that we could say the complaining party has the option to make to communicate with a designated contact.
I'd like to see that language come back to us rather
Okay,
than
that's
vote
fine.
on it as amendment.
I have a question as well. I can't really hear you all that well, so I don't know if there's a lull in the conversation, but I have another thing I wanted to clarify. It says in here that, no recreational vehicle or trailer shall be used as short-term rental. But the next line says, only a bedroom as defined herein shall be used for overnight sleeping quarters. I haven't been to an Airbnb that didn't allow for, a pull-out couch or something like that to be used in a larger facility. So I'm kind of thinking that's a little heavy-handed. Why is that there?
I had a little difficulty hearing you, Councilwoman Jenkins.
I couldn't understand.
I can't hear anybody.
Councilwoman Jenkins, if you don't mind repeating what you said, please.
I said that the line underneath the line about the trailer or recreational vehicle, there's a line under it said only a bedroom shall be used as sleeping quarters. And I have never been to an Airbnb that didn't have a pull-out couch in the living room that could also be used. So I felt like, why is that in there if, it's commonplace to have that ability in a home?
Okay.
You see the section, Dean?
Oh, yeah, I'm looking
I
at it.
do. Only a bedroom is defined herein shall be
Yeah,
used for overnight sleeping quarters.
Break up as soon as I start talking.
So, yeah, it's basically to make sure that they're complying with the International Property Maintenance Code requirements for bedrooms and sleeping purposes as well.
Does it exclude?
It's not excluded.
Councilwoman Jenkins, I don't think it excludes the pull-out couch. It just requires that there's a bed in there.
Right.
Thank you for that clarification.
Yes, ma'am.
Are we limiting the number of people based on beds in this ordinance? I didn't
Yes.
see, we are, where's that?
Where'd it go?
Or what is that number?
Let's see, I think it's under accommodation standards.
Yeah.
So it says every bedroom occupied by one person shall have 70 square feet. Of course, every bedroom occupied by one person has at least 50 square feet of floor area for each occupant. And where did it go?
Under number 5, rental unit conditions, it does say under B, maximum occupancy is limited to 4 adults per dwelling unit with up to 2 bedrooms. For dwelling units with 3 or more bedrooms, the number shall not exceed 2 adults per bedroom.
Correct.
It doesn't talk about anything about minors, but it is adults.
Right, you have to be 25 years or older to enter into an agreement. If you have younger children, of course, it does limit how many people can be in a bedroom.
All right, so we have that language coming back to us,
Uh,
even though we'll complete the public hearing today, so it'll come back to us without the public hearing being continued. So is there anything else from anyone?
I do, Mr. Mayor. Back to compliance under point B, and this is for clarification. If the issue or source of the complaint continues unabated, the complaining party must provide, and goes on. The term unabated is very nebulous, it's kind of very subjective. Unabated for how long?
Just means if it doesn't get resolved. I mean, if you keep
In-
complaining about the noise doesn't get resolved, the
I'm
trash
saying,
doesn't
if
get
you're the
resolved.
neighbor next door complaining, does that within the next 10 minutes, 12 hours, or within that year? I think, anyways, it just opens up a very ambiguous issue right there.
Can staff discuss that and come back with some wording? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so anything else on this? It looks like we would have no motion unless we had a motion to instruct staff to come back with the wording we're looking for. And Mr. Sears is doing this.
I'm happy to make that motion.
So is there a second? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Like sign. Okay, I had closed the public hearing a moment ago, so we'll move forward on the agenda with the next item. Thank you, Ms. Smith. And it is the second and final reading, consideration of an ordinance to annex property on State Route 34 bypass and Roscoe Road, and ordinance to rezone property at 204 Roscoe Road. This is second and final reading. Is there a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion is second. We approve as presented. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
All right, motion carries 6-1. We have nothing under visitors today.
Mr. Mayor, we'll need a separate motion on the rezoning, not a dual.
I'm sorry. Okay, well, let's go back to the second and final reading. If I can get a second motion on the rezoning.
So moved.
Second.
Second, motion and a second, we adopt the ordinance on the rezoning of the property at 204 Roscoe Road. Any discussion? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carried 6-1. As I said, we don't have anything under visitors today. Do we have a need for an executive session, Mr.?
Before that, on item number J, consideration of an ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance, section 1022, action by council. I mistakenly voted yes on that. I'd like to change my vote to nay on that one.
I wondered what happened to you on that.
Yeah, I just.
You've been a consistent nay.
Yeah, I got that out a little too soon. If I could,
was a little surprised, but
so if I could change, for the
Okay.
record, my vote is a no on that.
Sure, I understand. Okay, so it still carried 5-2. All right, anything else for the good of the order? No executive session?
well, we have a matter, if you want to take it up today or next month.
Or we have time to do it next one, he said.
Yeah, we'll do
Next Wednesday?
next time.
Next
Okay, so we do have a work session that will begin after we take a 5-minute break. How about that? Let's go forward with a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
Motion and adjourn, motion second to adjourn. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Ms. Jenkins, are you hanging for the,
Yes.
okay. All right, thank you.
I can't hear you now. For some reason, it's breaking up.